Okay, now I'm going to touch on what seems to be the internet's biggest issue with this show. Strap in, ladies and gentlemen. For those of you who don't know, She-Hulk is written and directed by women. It's a full female creative team working on this show. She-Hulk is focused on using the female lens to tell a unique superhero story. Spoiler alert, I am not a woman, okay? So certain things may not resonate with me like it would with the female audience.
When incompetent men explain my own area of expertise to me, I do it pretty much every day because if I don't, I will get home.
Now, these writers attempted to weave in moments of social commentary that addresses some of the challenges women face every day, especially in the workplace. I saw one person describe it as cool feminist commentary.
I feel like this is gonna land better coming from me. Look, we got plenty of time to switch things up and let me do the closing.
A lot of people were triggered by this, of course. I've got no real issue with this kind of stuff, especially when it's subtle. When it's not so subtle, I get annoyed, mostly because I know the internet is going to have a field day with it. It's low-hanging fruit for content creators to complain about. In my opinion, it's better to work social commentary into the story in a way that doesn't feel so heavy-handed or forced. For example, in She-Hulk episode 2, Jen Walters is offered a job, head of a new superhero law division for a big firm. The catch is they want the She-Hulk to be the face of it, meaning they want her as the She-Hulk at work and in court.
That means I'll expect you to be at work and in court as the She-Hulk.
Right now.
How does that make her feel?
God, is this why they hired me? Okay, this sucks. I am totally qualified, but now everyone around here is always going to think this is the only reason I got the job. It's so unfair.
Now, this is without a doubt a commentary on the real world belief that certain women get opportunities based solely on their looks and not their credentials. Oh, she's a diversity hire, or the only reason she got this position is because she's hot. Things like that.
If I get this job, I want it to be based on merit and not on this.
What makes you so sure I'm not going to base this on merit? This may shock you, but there are some men who hire women based on their qualifications and not on how well they flirt.
And you would be one of those men.
This moment in the show is good because it doesn't feel forced. It flows in the story. The commentary is there for folks who can pick up on it, but it's not on the nose. It's not in your face. Everything that happens here makes sense. Her concerns are valid. Jen Walters is an accomplished lawyer, alright? But if she has to walk around looking like the She-Hulk all the damn time, of course some people are gonna think that's the only reason she got the job. So this is good. It makes sense. Now let's look at a scene where the commentary is not so subtle. In episode 1, Bruce is trying to help Jen manage her anger. He's concerned that she'll be a danger to everyone around her if she can't learn to calm her emotions. This is something Bruce has struggled with for years.
We have to make sure of your ability to tolerate the stress and regulate your emotions, especially your anger.
Jen goes on this diatribe about why she's an expert on controlling her anger.
Well, here's the thing, Bruce. I'm great at controlling my anger. I do it all the time. When incompetent men explain my own area of expertise to me, when I'm catcalled in the street, because if I don't, I will get called emotional or difficult. So I'm an expert at controlling my anger because I do it infinitely more than you.
Depending on your perspective, this is either an important message that men and young boys need to hear, or an example of forced feminism in a poorly framed scene. That is, if you live on the internet. I'll say this, the scene does feel forced and heavy-handed. Why? Well, the problem is not what she says, it's the fact that it's the only thing she says. Nothing that is said here is specific to Jen Walters. You could replace her with any woman in a male-dominated profession and the lines would still work. That's why it feels like it's not coming from the character. It feels like it's coming from the writer who's trying to make a point. The implication is, I can control my anger better than you, Bruce, because I am a woman and we have to deal with shit that you don't. Again, it's not what she says. The problem is, it's the only thing she says. You can keep the commentary, but add in lines that are more specific to Jen. I mean, she's a lawyer, and she says she became one to help people.
It's not wrong that I am choosing to help people in the way that I've always wanted to.
There's nothing with America's criminal legal system that makes her mad. I don't know, like maybe the misuse of prosecutorial power, or maybe the problem of mass incarceration and excessive punishment. Does anything like that make her mad? Perhaps there's a strained relationship with a family member she's dealing with. Maybe she doesn't get along with her mother or something. Maybe that angers her. The more varied you are, the more specific you are to Jen Walters' own life experience, the more real and natural it's going to come across. Now, some may argue that this is just a poorly written scene, considering who she's talking to. She's talking to Bruce Banner, a man who's been hunted by the government for years. A man who's lonely because he's isolated himself. A man, to this day, some still see as a monster. A man who had to watch people die in front of him. A man who's dealing with years and years of trauma.
I got low. I didn't see an end, so I put a bullet in my mouth and the other guy spit it out.
Infinitely more than you. Oh, so you didn't wind up alone? Infinitely more than you. Hiding away on some remote beach with no friends? Infinitely more than you. No relationships, never seeing your family? Infinitely more than you. And definitely not dealing with a decade's worth of trauma? Why would you want that for me, Bruce? Infinitely more than you.
I think he has reasons to be angry. A conversation about rage and what it means to be a woman walking through the world is the point here. But if you're not careful in how you construct a scene, it won't be heard. Once she compares herself to him, it's gonna feel like Bruce's struggles and trauma are being belittled by comparing them to catcalling and mansplaining. You have to know that, and you have to be prepared for that. Now, some would argue it's worth being heavy-handed to get the message across. This is important, they'll say. It may be the first time some young men hear women speak candidly about experiences like this. Again, I myself wasn't that bothered by it. I just prefer it be subtle. I have more of a problem with just how silly the courtroom scenes are and the small-scale personal problems Jen is dealing with. So what are your thoughts on She-Hulk? Let me know. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you later.